Hey, what's up there, YouTube? How you doing? Um, just want to jump on here for a couple minutes, taking a breather in the park, and I wanted to do a mini live stream here. I got a question, and I'm hoping someone can give me an answer to it. Gonna throw it out there right now. I should wait a moment or two. Yeah, let me wait. Get a couple people in there. Fucking beautiful day out tonight. It's probably close to 70 degrees here in Delaware. Let me see what we got. Yeah, I'm out in Powell Ford Park in Delaware. Train going by. I guess you heard that. I wonder if anybody's going to pop on here or not. It's around lunchtime. And well, I wonder if they finally sent out the notification. Let's see. Hey, what's up? How you doing, fisherman? Memory. What's up? How you doing, Doc? Glad you guys hopped on there. Here's the deal. The other day I was watching a video, and they're talking about the Supreme Court is going back and looking at basically the Second Amendment, and if you lost your rights to have a gun or right to carry, and they're talking about that. And I got a question. It's talking about permits. Why in the fuck do you need a permit? You don't need a fucking permit. No, you don't. It's in the fucking Constitution. That's the law of the land. You have the right to bear arms. It doesn't say unless this or that. I know other people probably picked up this and said the same thing, but for real, I don't understand why they're able to bend the law to fit their needs without a vote or nothing. Well, at least the Supreme Court vote on it or voting on it, and we'll see what goes down with that. So how's everybody doing today? Who's all on here? We got Doc, Memory of a Fisherman. Thought I saw somebody else in there. Whoever else is in there, thanks for stopping by. I'm asking a serious, honest question. Why are they saying that we need a permit for a gun? You're cheating again. I'm at work. All right. Yeah. I took a little breather today again. I did it the other day. I did a live stream for about an hour. I'm just getting bummed out. I'm driving 7 days a fucking week on DoorDash, and I'm realizing half of my life's rolling by. Every now and then I just stop, fucking take a breather, and enjoy the warm weather. Right now it's actually hot. It's not warm. It's close to 70 something degrees out. I don't think you need a license to hunt and fish. Yeah, they say you do, right? Again, why? A license is just so the fucking government can keep collecting more money off of you. Why do you need a license? God provided them fish and that, the deer and this and that, for us. Put it out there. Why does the government need to stick its hand or its head into your business 24/7 with that shit? Just pisses me off. What's this? I've got a optometrist appointment at 3. All right, that doesn't answer my question though, Doc. I was expecting you to, how do you feel about needing a permit to own and carry a firearm? And the reason why I'm bringing this up, my brother was a Vietnam era Marine, okay? And wait a minute, what's going on? Breaking: U.S. military draft not ruled out by White House. Yeah, They're getting us deeper and deeper into this war. Anyway, yeah. It's in the fucking Constitution. That Constitution acts as every because it doesn't. It says you have the right to bear arms. It doesn't say no. This person can bear arms and that one can't. And you could say, well, one might be dangerous or somebody might be mentally unstable. I'm just going by what the Constitution actually says. You need a permit. In actuality, Doc, you don't. In actuality, you don't need a permit. They'll pull you over, they'll arrest you and all that. But if you go back to the beginning, a license was only used for when you were traveling for business, I believe. In other words, trucks and whatnot in the very beginning. And I don't know that they ever really totally, truly passed any law on having to have a license. It's just assumed or it's just taken in. Maybe I'm wrong. Wait a minute. It also doesn't say in the Constitution you have the right to drive a car, but it says you have the right to bear arms for a reason. We're about to need to bear arms probably because we're going into wartime here and shit's going to come here. Okay. So what I was getting ready to say, I'm talking about my older brother, Vietnam era Marine. Okay. He got red flagged. All right. He's never done anything wrong. In other words, he's not allowed to have his gun rights. All right. He was allowed to be a Marine and defend the country. But now he's just like, no, you can't do anything. We're not going to allow you to have any way to protect you, your wife, or your home. Call the cops. Well, sometimes the cops don't get there in time. Yeah, we're going deep into this World War III thing. Trump keeps talking about like it's a holy war. And I keep saying, no such thing as a holy war. War's not holy. Yeah, I'm sorry. Just as, babies get killed in it, innocent people, men, women, and children, just citizens get killed by bombs falling, indiscriminately killed by bombs dropping out of backs of plane. So if you're going to sit there and say that you're a Christian and everything and you're going to heaven and this and that, well, what do you think Jesus is going to say when you're all pro-war 24/7? Because there's people that are trying to walk the fine line between, both sides of the fence here of whether you're pro-war or, you're pro-Trump or pro. Look, it doesn't matter who's president. Wait a minute, what's this say? War, what is it good for? Absolutely, yeah, exactly. Little babies are being burned up. They're dropping bombs. Like I said, indiscriminately. They're hitting houses. Some of those people over there are victims of circumstance. Not every Iranian over there is liking what's happening over there. A lot of them wanted the Ayatollah out of there. Okay, a lot of them are Christians, believe it or not. Go look that up if you think I'm kidding. There are Christians over there. So I'm just wondering, do we really got to drop so many bombs that we're just watching the rubble bounce at this point? And you know what? There's something called karma. They're going to come back and the world's going to help them sting us. The world's going to turn on America. Okay. So Trump better tone it down a little bit. All right. Eventually bullies get a black eye. You know what I'm saying? They get beat down eventually. And if they all stand up and they all start to think this is becoming almost war crimes at this point, you have to wonder what's next, Now, don't get me wrong. I love my country and mostly the citizens. The government's not worth a damn in my book and hasn't been for a couple hundred years, maybe, since maybe like Lincoln was in office. We got nothing but criminals in there on the take. And I'm talking both sides. And that's the problem. As soon as I say something like that, people are going to be like, you're a Trumper or you're this or you're that. No, forget all that shit. We're all being stolen from by both sides and they're doing nothing about it. And then on top of that, they're not fucking arresting anybody who did that shit down at Epstein Island. How the hell can you feel good about all that? It's fucked up. I'm afraid that U.S. might be attacked with the top. Yeah, I think three of them. I got a horrible feeling and had a premonition that we're going to get hit with three bombs, three devices somehow carted into our country, maybe come right into the fucking coastline on a cargo ship. And you know what? Nobody's going to feel sorry for anybody. You know, any of these other countries are starting to really get pissed off. First thing we did, now granted, it was an unfair situation. So Trump put the tariffs out there. I get that. But he went overboard. And it's just going from there. Now we're just bombing the living shit out of Iran. And for what reason? Oh, Netanyahu wants it done. You know what? I used to be pro-Israel. Now I'm starting to say, wait a minute, what the fuck is going on here? My eyes are getting opened up to a lot of different things. Just saying, you know, you got politicians that are both under dual citizenship. Why? How can you? Isn't that a conflict of interest? Shouldn't you be either one or the other? Like people were pissed off when what's her name, Ilhan Omar was in there. Well, no wonder she's a criminal piece of crap. However, has she reduced or renounced her citizenship from Somalia, and is she an American citizen? You know what I'm saying? But Trump did say that he's going to stop this having other countries have people in here representing, you know, in our Senate and everything else. And I kind of agree with that, you know. They're not in, you know, America for Americans, you know, first and foremost. Citizens, you know, need to, in other words, you need to get your representation from people who have lived in the system, not somebody came over and wants to change it, you know, because, you know, it's their jihad or whatever. They want to, their holy orders is to, you know, take down the great Satan or whatever. It's just that, wait a minute, hang on, wait a minute. What was it? Wait a minute. That's what I'm worried about. The world is getting tired of Trump's policy. Exactly. What if they all turn on us? Now things are starting to get above and beyond that. Here's the deal. I say this all the time. People are no longer worshiping God in a way. You know, they're basically. Let me get this clarify this. They're no longer a lot of these MAGA people, for instance, don't even realize it, but they're putting so much weight behind Donald Trump, so much Trump can do no wrong that they're going to get fooled, and they're in a process of getting fooled. You know, in my opinion, dude, I voted for him, and I still think he's far better than Biden in a lot of hundreds of ways. And like I said, it's both sides are criminal. Look what they did. Look what Biden's people did in office. They had that auto pen scandal where laws were being signed in by people who, you know, had no right to do it. It's just really fucked up. But anyway, let me try to get back to what I was talking about originally with the whole needing a permit, for instance, for a firearm to protect yourself. No, you don't. You should not need one. It's called the Constitution. That is your permit. That is your right to carry. You have the right to bear arms. It doesn't say you have the right to bear arms unless you have red hair. It doesn't say you have the right to bear arms unless you vote this way. No, everybody has that right. Now, you could say if you're a homicidal maniac, I guess they're going to try to take that away, but you should have to fucking be proven, in other words, by a jury of your peers that you're incapable of having that right because you may endanger others. You can't just say, I don't like that guy's politics, let's grab his guns and say that he doesn't have a right, especially in my brother's case, because that's was a Democrat thing for a while to go after, you know, the right to bear arms. What's it say? What's the price of a gallon there, James? Right now it's a gallon of what? Blood or gasoline? Uh, Wait a minute. A gallon of gasoline is probably right now it's about 2.9 or 3.19. But but I mean, and I guess I'm hitting hot button topics here, but I'm fed up. I just think everything's really going off the deep end, and I don't know. I come on here and I'm just asking questions right now instead of answering them. I'm asking. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think you need a permit for a firearm? Do you think that you need? What's this say? It was 325 in my area. Yeah, which is crazy. Didn't Trump just steal some? Didn't he just steal some oil from Venezuela? Even though it was what the hell they call it, sand tar quality oil or something that's not even very good for what we need. Yet I just don't understand why. Wait a minute. Hell no, what it was. I don't know. I just been thinking about all this shit all day long. I was door dashing earlier, and I just stopped and I figured I'd stop in the park, take a couple minutes. I've been running 7 days a fucking week doing that, and it's like beating your head against the wall. We don't need a permit for guns. Yeah, I agree. It's already there. Everyone has the right to bear arms. It's in the Constitution, and it didn't go into a deep explanation on anything. But if you want to follow it by the law, I'm a little tainted with the gun control thing. I had an uncle murdered with the gun. Yep. And you know what? I had people I know murdered with the car, literally ran over. Should we get rid of cars? You know what I mean? I get it. I know that people can be sensitive. If something happened to somebody you care about, I get it. But what happens if your family gets killed because you didn't have a gun? You didn't have a way to protect your wife and kids if they bust down your door to rob you and just open fire on your family. You know what I mean? But nowadays, you can't even defend yourself. You walk down the street and something happens. A lot of times, if a cop even sees it, they'll just look the other way and continue eating their hoagie or their sandwich, pretend they didn't see it. It's happening all over the place where they're not, cops are just pretty much staying out of it till your blood's all over the ground and the heartbeat's gone. Then they might look into what's this? All right, so we got Doc says, you think a permit is necessary? Or am I correct in saying you have the permits called the Constitution? That's all I'm asking. Anybody got the guts to put their opinion out there? And that's the thing. We're even afraid to speak up and put an opinion out because someone might think bad about, you know what? Fuck what anybody thinks anymore. That's the problem. Everybody's afraid to stand up and call bullshit, like when that whole COVID thing went by. Okay? Now, don't say anything. Just put your mask on and stand in line over there and get your sleever, roll up your sleever routine. Everybody just went along to get along. What's going to stop us from doing that? And I know when I say us, I mean the general populace. When it's time, when they start saying, well, you got to go into this 15-minute city or you got to go to this camp over here. It's exactly what happened in Germany. They, scared and intimidated people into fucking just going along to get along, and they slaughtered millions of people. Cops just sit in their car and do very little most of the time. And and in some ways I could look at it from their point of view too. They want to go home at the end of the night without catching a bullet. Now, what I mean by that is they get shot for doing their job, and then sometimes they get thrown onto the bus for doing their job. So they're kind of in a fucked up position too. Wait a minute. It seems like it here that the cops are afraid to do anything. Kirsten's open carry. Yes, but also another thing, if you look back a couple years, they're also seeing all the fucking anti-cop movement where you know, they weren't allowed to, make an arrest that's racism or that's this. If somebody happens to be a certain color, a certain religion, or certain whatever, but they commit a crime, do you just ignore it? Well, that's what's been going on. You got to, and in California, for instance, wait a minute, how you doing? In California, what was I going to say? The national average is 10 to 20 minutes for cop to arrive. But yeah, you could be dead. So again, that's another thing, though, you got to look at. They have a right to want to be protected. And there was a while there when they were afraid to step forward and do something because there was shootings. There was cops that did abuse people and beat them down and shit. So any good cop was even afraid that, to have to make an arrest, they have to do something. That's kind of a shitty job at the end of the day because you're stuck. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Yeah. Who's from South Africa? Where are you from? Who's that? Huh. Anyway. Is that sarcasm there, Doc? Just saying, where do you draw the line? Because both sides of that argument have have valid points. Personally, I would never want to be a cop. That's no way would I want. I don't care what kind of money they make because they're stuck in the middle ground there. Oh, is he? Wait a minute. Let me see. Oh, is that? Okay. How you doing, Albert? How's it going down there? Everything all right? Thank you for stopping by. I just started off asking questions. Like one of them was, do you think we had the right to carry, or basically that you needed a permit and for a gun, for instance? I don't know whether you guys are allowed to have guns down there. I don't think so. I know Australia lost their rights to do that, and you had better days. Me too, dude. But you know what? I had worse days too. So there's that. For every good day, there seems to be five bad days waiting to follow. Man, I smell something burning. It smells like burnt oil. Where the hell's that coming from? Must have been a car going by. It smelled like Iran or something. The oil well's on fire. No, it's serious. Something came through here. That's gone now. I got a road right out in front of me. We're on the right side of the ground. Yes, exactly. Kind of sucks when you're feeding the worms, when you're dead and gone. The only thing is people don't seem to complain down there because they can't. Once you're dead, you're feeding the worms. So every day is a good day that you're drawing breath. That's a good way to look at that. Anyway, just some reason I just wanted to see what people would say about, the Constitution. And to me, that's a sacred document. Grants us our freedoms, and you know what? That piece of paper didn't grant us our freedoms. The blood that was spilled in the ground by the patriots that believed in that document is what bought us our freedoms. How you doing, dude? Who's that, Robert? That's cool. Slap it off, huh, Robert? Yep. Yeah, I'm just talking about basically the fact that supposedly they say that you need a permit for a gun. It's not what the Constitution says. If you go by the letter of the law, you have the right to bear arms. But it is what it is. Anyway, wait a minute. couldn't read that. So how you been, dude? How you been, Robert? I know you slept off your hangover, right? Permit to own a gun. Yeah. Yeah. You have the right to bear arms, right? Or a permit to what's that? It's like the same with how's the it sucked. Now I stopped today. Just wasn't well, wasn't making a whole lot, and like I said, I just wanted to give it a rest for a day. Yeah, yep. Very little. Yeah. Anyway, I guess I guess I'm actually going to go back to dashing right now. I just needed getting kind of tired of riding around all damn day, 7 days a week. I'm waiting. My job should open up in one more or less than a month now, and I got in contact with them, so I'm probably going to go back to the Frawley Stadium to work. Anyway, forget I said anything. I just wanted to see what people thought about that. What would you say? It's the worst thing about dashing. Um, it's hard to say, dude. I know what the best thing about it is. You're your own boss. You can say, okay, I'm going to take a break like I did today and stop being a slave for the system for a couple minutes anyway. And that's the whole fucking thing too. Is I'm 62 and I've been working all my life. And poor planning on my part. I should have put a lot more money aside and prepared better. But you know what? Sometimes you're just doing all you can do to survive, and you don't have the extra money to put aside. Yeah, and I'm paying for it now. Wear and tear on your car. Yeah, that too, Doc. Well, I'm trying to. I'm waiting on Social Security. Probably in a month or so, I should find out, get that all taken care of. I've already talked with them, but I don't plan on just not working. I just don't want to be a 24-hour a day worrying about, my job. That's money I could use back. I know Social Security doesn't pay a lot, but it can give me a little bit of breather. I don't want to have a heart attack running around, when I'm 65, 67, 70, and conveniently they keep lifting the ages. You know, it's your money. You worked for it your whole fucking life, and when you get near the end, you start playing games with your money. You know, it's bullshit. Yeah, in my opinion. So anyway, and you are right about that, Doc. About um, the car does get beaten up from delivery work of any kind. That's exactly right. That's your money. It's the same thing with, when they take money out for like unemployment insurance and stuff. I often thought, they say, well, that's different. Now, I've heard people say that it's not actually coming out of your check. Beg to differ. I don't, you have to show me how that's not coming. What's it? It's 100% your right to your money. That's complete bullshit. Yeah, but I mean, and I'll get my money, but because I'm not sticking around to, I think it's like 67 now, you can't get your full thing. So I wonder if I can get by with only paying partial taxes. See what I'm saying? They want all that fucking shit, but when it's time to get your money back, we'll give you half, okay? And by the way, we're gonna ask you this: Can we? Do you want to round up on your pennies and your change? I went on yesterday about that. That shit's bullshit. You go into a multi-million dollar operation, to go buy something at Walmart, making money hand over fist in there. And they found a new way just to get a few more cents out of everybody, but rounding up. What if I want to round down, motherfucker? Why is it always got to go in their favor? My dad got it at 62 and was getting. Yeah, that's what they're telling me. I should be getting around that. But then they take a couple hundred out for is it Medicare. What's it say? That was 2017. Yeah, they told me I'd be getting close to 1100. I think it was round down. Exactly. What? Why? Why can't it ever benefit the customer or the little guy? It never does. It's always your 401ks, for instance. You're letting them play with your money to try to make more money and all this. And a lot of times, I think it's just another rich man scam. How to take more money out of your. I don't know. Maybe that's my problem. I just don't believe in anything that they tell us anymore. Anyway, I think what I'm going to do is hop off of here, and maybe I'll go back out and do some more dashing. I just need to fucking stop every now and then. Like I said, I'm pretty much door dashing 7 days a week. It seems like at times you feel like, what the fuck is the point of all this? What's this? I got lucky. I put $100 away month for 40 years. There you go. Exactly. Smart man. If I could have done it over, you know what? Like I said, most of my life I was taking care of my younger brother and didn't have time to think about nothing else. Basically, I neglected my own needs to help my brother. He had schizophrenia, and basically I was trying to help him, and I lost. Hey, Fred, can you hear me? I was doing a live stream and it went down. Ran out of battery. And I was getting ready to end it anyway, but I didn't want it to end like that. I don't know if you're on there right now. Doesn't look like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to end it right here. Go back on later, maybe. Have a good one.